Well, the men and women of letters are tonight demanding to be paid what is their true worth since they joined the most brilliant minds yet. Doctors who for close to 50 days now have been demanding for their fair share.
The government remains in a tight corner as the industrial court maintains the strikes are all illegal. Important to notice, there is no strike that has been declared legal by that court, or that in a moment, but first, the highlights. Good evening. My name is Dennis Onsarigo.
KANU has not deviated from its initial position that it will not dissolve as a party.
Tuko tayari kwa any kind of arrest. Ijapokuwa tunaomba Mungu asitupe cardiac arrest.
I want to remind Olo that he has forgotten one file, a secret file that I hold for him, and the reason why he's running away. And he can run, but he is not going to hide.
Indeed, you cannot run, but you must be here for news sources. Now, tonight, the game of numbers on his own as IEBC mass registration enters its fourth day. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy have been jolted into action after seeing their chief competitor in 2017 elections, Raila Odinga, not taking a moment to rest. But Deputy President William Ruto was booed today in Narok after his team ran into a hostile reception in that area. Take a listen. That's how we're kicking off our discussions tonight, and of course I'm joined by our very own James Smart. Welcome to the show.
Brilliant.
Rosalina Obala, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Ibrahim Oruko, you've been away for some time, but welcome to the show. And of course, Billy Mwiruri, starting with you, what happened in Narok today?
I think Ruto ran into local politics, and I think if you look at the Narok County politics, there are two groups. There is one that is led by Governor Samuel Ole Tunai, who is a strong Ruto ally, and another one led by the people who call them the Purko clan. So I think the problem is that Ruto is seen as very much pro-Tunai against the local whatever. And then this Ruto camp is also associated with a lot of immigrant communities that are in Narok. So it's a struggle, and now what we are going to face is that Ruto will have to talk to the master, because now the people who are complaining are not the Kalenjins or the other communities. It is the real master, and specifically the Purko community, who have vowed to actually get the seat of governor back.
Oruko, you've been shaking your head away from the camera. What is on your mind?
No, I wanted to disagree with him. What we saw in Narok has nothing to do with the immigrant communities. It has everything to do with the corruption. And this is just the boiling point of all these issues that have been happening. The deputy president has had a problem with the Maasai community. Of all the elected leaders, only the governor is on his side. And it is in public domain that the governor with the Ruto have been taking away resources, or they're looting the resources from the world famous Masai Mara. So those things have been happening. And we saw Ruto skip the burial of William Ole Ntimama, and most recently for John Keane. So it has been a no-go zone for him. But because it's an election time, he has to come out and try to see. But the timing to me was a wrong one. But it portends the trouble for
Rosalie, this was the first time William Ruto is running into this kind of reception. It happened again in Garissa. Is he losing ground among his supporters? What could be going on?
Maybe you can say it is local politics, but again, the Maasai community has had issues, especially the land issues. And specifically when we go to Narok, remember before the elder Ntimbanama passed on, they had gone to State House, and they were led by Olentutu. And the community of Senator Olentutu want to take over the governorship. So there is that split between the family of the senator, which is also holding a majority of Narok County, and also on the side of the sitting governor, who is Ole Tunai. But what we saw today, I think, goes beyond the politics of the governorship and the other people seeking positions, and maybe the Maasais are just disgruntled. I think the Jubilee government has not just reached out to them to get exactly what happened, because this is exactly what we saw when the president came for the burial of Ole Ntimama. So I think it is high time the Jubilee government went down and knew exactly what is the problem with the Maasai.
Well, smart. I mean, the rallying call there was tuko pamoja. Are they together, these people?
I think everyone is saying the same thing. I think it's the corruption allegations that have been deviling the Masai Mara and that and the conversation there in Narok, and as well the local politics. I think all these things play out into bringing this potent scenario that the deputy president ran in. But I don't think it will also be entirely honest to say that this was not seen. I think the Maasai community for a long time has shown their disgruntledness, they have shown their uneasiness around Jubilee, and possibly this was for the first time the deputy president find himself in a place whereby he sees it as raw as it is, and maybe it's going to jolt and maybe work. Remember, he's the man who organized the URP wing inside under the nose of ODM, and he managed to get so many seats there. So I think this is for him a chance to get something out of it.
Billy, in 10 seconds or less.
Yeah, Narok has actually did not vote for Jubilee per se, especially because of that infighting. If you look at the number of votes that Laila got in Narok and the number of what Uhuru got in Narok, if you compare that with the number of immigrant communities who are likely to have voted for Uhuru, you realize that majority of the Maasai community in Narok did not vote for Jubilee for president.
Okay, hang on to that thought. Hang on to that thought, because we need to grow with this. And it is Raila Odinga who was the first off the blocks from Monday, taking the bull literally on its own. The former premier has visited close to 20 locations now since the mass registration exercise started. His partner, Kalonzo Musyoka, has been pulling his side of the bargain as well, as the Senator Moses Wetangula have also taken time to visit and encourage their base to register in large numbers. Let's listen in.
Na hiyo nitaweza kukufanya, manake unatoa idadi wangapi walisajilishwa Kisii, wangapi Nyamira, wangapi Migori, wangapi Homa Bay, wangapi Kisumu, wangapi Siaya. Sio Nyanza. Nataka mpimane nguvu hapa Nyanza. Ile county ambayo itasajilisha watu wengi zaidi atapata kikombe ya Gwambo.
Well, that's what it is. The former premier, this time, if you superimposed this time versus 2013, in 2013 he was opening government projects when Jubilee was busy, scooping up voters, and came up after months and told me you have no reason to get to this election because we'll win it in first round. This time looks doing something different. Dennis.
Raila Odinga has dropped everything else to run this voter registration campaign on his own, and it appears the rest of the coalition partners are playing catch-up. And remember, as you rightly said, in 2013, I think the last 2 weeks before the elections, Raila Odinga was in Japan for government official business, and you can imagine. So he was a man out there working for the government, and he was not running his own campaigns, Billy.
I think Raila Odinga, there would not be much to expect from Nyanza, because actually in his bid in 2013, Nyanza did not let Raila down. If you look at the number of the turnout, the percentage turnout, and also the number of votes that Raila got in Nyanza, you see that Nyanza seriously voted for Raila Odinga. Raila lost because of Coast Province. Because while other counties were registering 95, 90%. Coast was, which is his stronghold, was registered 67%. So today, if Coast Province was to have a turnout of 75%, Raila would become president.
Oruko?
I will disagree with that. And by the way, I also don't understand
Yes.
why we are so fascinated with the numbers. At the end of the day, these numbers don't count. What counts, Mr. Smart, at the end of the day, is the announcement, the declaration. The person who will make the declaration. And history bears me out. 2007, it was a declaration, not what happened at the ballot. Right? 2013, it's now coming out. 2 million people who voted for one person, he voted for the other. Today somebody is saying he has a high voltage file that he needs to unleash on how people never won elections 2013 and all that. So to me, we need to look the other way around.
So are you suggesting what Raila is doing now is pointless?
Yeah,
what
I can assure you it's pointless because at the end of the day it will be a declaration.
I think I also disagree with him because
and by the way, before you say, Coast did not let Raila down. The 2 million people who voted from nowhere is what let Raila down.
Bailey, what point do you have to make?
I want to say that when he says that that Raila got what happened is that in the Rift in Coast, 67% of the people who voted, and we are saying if 80% of the Coast people were to vote, Jubilee would not have gotten the 50+1.
They would have gotten.
Let's get the voice of reason here.
Yeah, just hang in there. You're talking about 65% turnout in Mombasa to vote. Now, what our leaders are doing now, we are seeing them going to the people to go and register. You can't get 100% if you don't talk to people to vote. So first, we have to get how many have come out to vote and check with the people who are eligible to vote. We just saw the other day we have over 9.2 million people who have gotten IDs but have not been registered. Why can't we tap on that number? Then now go ahead and encourage our people to vote, because elections is not a one-day-off thing. It is a process.
Dennis, the idea is that this is possibly should not be focusing, what Oruko is advancing here, that we should be not focusing on, this registering of people. We should be focusing on how to win an election. Yes. How does that work?
I think Oruko is right to some extent, because in 2013, it was about this quote-unquote...
But these are different elections. These are different elections.
Different elections, but the players are the same, Smart, remember. Yeah. The players are the same. If the question has been voter turnout, then if Raila Odinga's strongholds increase their numbers, as it were, it depends who declares this election at the end of the day.
Yes.
Or to win.
It's a declaration that is
I'm shocked at Oluko's argument. Yeah. Are you trying to suggest that Musalia Mudavadi would have been declared the winner in 2013?
Of course, yes. We saw it happen in 2007, that a spectator was awarded the trophy. We know, it has been said.
No, I think
that the loser was actually declared. So ultimately, if Mudavadi was declared, you have the trouble of going to the courts, and the courts will nullify. Will they say no? We stand by that. So we are wasting time with this thing. We are totally wasting time. If the experience of the last 2 years, the 2 elections has to count, we are wasting time with this thing. It will not count. Even if 1 billion for voting.
Ruka, I'm sure we are not wasting time on the next topic. Political pundits claim the actions of Raila Odinga in the last 3 days as alarmed State House. President Uhuru Kenyatta just yesterday announced he will drop everything and make the registration of new voters in his backyard a priority. Today, Uhuru toured parts of central Kenya, making that clarion call. Listening to the president.
Shida ni ya kwamba wakati ukifika mtu hana kura, alafu analalamika ya kwamba kiongozi ni mbaya. Na wewe mwenyewe ukitokeza kuchukua nini? Kuchukua kura. Kwa hivyo kura ni muhimu kwa maisha yako.
Smart, kura ni ya muhimu sana kwa maisha yako. Has the voting for Jubilee supporters been that important for them to give Uhuru Kenyatta a second chance?
I think on the election date, the question then is everything will be dropped. The question would be very simply, do the supporters of Uhuru Kenyatta want him to continue another second term? And up to now, I don't think there's anything that has been convincing to say that they think otherwise. And I think that's why he goes back, to the backyard and say, I need more of those votes. It's easy for him to convert his traditional voters and convince them again to vote for him again, as opposed to converting those same voters into Raila Odinga supporters. I think that's the difficulty. At the end of the day, when that question is asked, they are more likely to vote for him. And I think that's the pragmatism that takes him back home.
Billy, there was an article in the Nation newspapers yesterday or today trying to suggest that maybe there is voter apathy in parts of Central Province. From where you see it, your take on this?
I've always said that this voter apathy thing is a creation of the media. In 2013, Uhuru did not have to do all those trips he's doing just to have the people register. People must understand what we call the Mount Kenya electoral behavior. These are people who learn at the last minute. And I can assure you, it's only that, I don't want to say that Uhuru went to Central because Raila has gone to Busia or Nyanza. It's only that he wants to up his numbers because he knows what the numbers and the registration did to him in 2013. And not just the registration. There will be another phase of turnout. Because you can register people, but again, the issue of turnout is different. In 2007, you saw what happened to Kibaki. Kibaki had a lot of votes from Central because people will still vote. Only that people in Central are not usually very excited at the political development. But when the time, before 14th, the Central Kenya people will have registered much more votes than they did even in 2013.
Billy, I think you're not living in the same society where we are living. If indeed registration of voters didn't matter to the president, I don't think he would have drawn up a program to go and talk to people. And again, in the past years, we've always seen civil societies, religious leaders, and other people coming out to rally members to vote. This is the first time we have seen it has become an agenda for politicians to go out and actually rally people to vote. Remember the first mass voter registration. The target was 4 million. What did we get? We got almost over 1 million. Surely that was just below the target. So because of this, let us give our politicians a chance. And then from there, and let us also not forget that we have not done a voter audit. So this is just not the end of it. Let us do the voter audit and also know what are the numbers do we have. Then
there's a feeling out there that by having the president going to Central Province, he has portrayed himself as a regional president more than a national president.
No. That wouldn't be the truth. The truth will be what is not answering about the issue of voter apathy. I think, I don't know, but I believe there's an element of truth in the allegations or the claims that there's a voter apathy. Why go there if, after all, you are the head of the state? You take development to your areas. They have been telling us development now, you know. So what has happened that all of a sudden you have to remind your own people that at least I'm there. Give me another chance. You are there. You are the one holding the big spoon or the treasury. So the fact that the truth of the matter is that the hopelessness and the wretchedness in Central is no better than, rather in Nyanza is not better than what you see in Central. So he has to go there and just maybe, get people going to vote. After all, we have been told there's no government agenda district, there's no ICC, there's nothing to tie anybody on any issue. So we have to look for something. Now, maybe the rallying call around voter registration, and is it being called with a market or something? Will help.
Smart, your thoughts on this as we wind up on this small talk?
Well, I think, again, we'll wait to see. But again, like you said, on the question of, on the 8th of August, 2017, the voters who are more inclined to vote for Raila Odinga will vote for him. The voters who are more inclined to vote for Kenyatta will vote for him. This apathy question is, like I say, a question of neither here nor there.
Let us wait for February 14, and then you'll be able to discuss about whether there was voter apathy in Central. I can assure you, Central people will not let Uhuru down.
All right, hang on to that thought. Here in the city, it appears Central Kenya politics has sort of found its way in Nairobi 2017 gubernatorial race. Peter Kenneth, who this week announced his entry into the race, has endorsements from the traditional power brokers in the city. Now, those opposing Peter Kenneth move say he's running for the governorship in preparation for 2022. Let's take a listen.
Sikia Peter Kenneth anataka kujiunga na Jubilee. Kama anataka kuchaguliwa na Jubilee, akuje ajiunge na hawa watu, wafanye mchujo ya chama, asikae kule anakaa peke yake. Usituletee ile maringo umekuwa nayo tangu 2013.
Ndugu yetu kutoka hapa Murang'a aliyekuwa mbunge wa Gatanga Gatanga, ambaye kuna wakati alifanya kazi mzuri Gatanga CDF, lakini hiyo kazi yote akaiharibu kwa sababu alisponsiwa na wazungu akuje agawanye kura za Central, aangushe ati Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Na akitembea alikuwa anasema Uhuru aende Hague, anyongwe, afungwe. Juzi ameniita ananiambia, Sonko, ile pesa ya wazungu ambayo bado wako nayo acha nipatie bilioni 1 niwache wananchi wa Nairobi nimuuzie kiti. Kama hiyo 1 bilioni ako nayo akuja hapa nyumbani Murang'a asaidie wananchi wa Murang'a. Sonko ataki pesa.
Well, high voltage politics there, however you want to see it. But it's right here in Nairobi, Dennis. PK is here, and the opponents are saying this is a false run for 2022, his presidency.
Those gentlemen are just wasting their time. I'll tell you for free, and you can take this to the nearest CBK bank and nearest police station and get a warrant of arrest for the two. I can tell you for free, Peter Kenneth is the candidate for Jubilee in Nairobi, and this is the man who's going to run for president in 2022. Stop wasting time.
Billy does not seem to be sure about that.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that those statements are showing is that Central Kenya succession politics have spilled to Nairobi. And there are two groups. It's now confirmed that Jubilee in Nairobi has split into two. One is this group that thinks that the aspirant group led by Honorable Dennis Wawero, Mike Sonko, Margaret Wajira Johnson Sakaja. This group is the one that has always been pushing for a nomination process, like the primaries. But the group that is now oscillating around Peter Kenneth and Maina Kamanda want consensus. And that is where the problem is coming in. So the issue is, do we sit down in a boardroom as Dennis Wawero, Margaret Wajiro Johnson Sakaja, and Mike Sonko and endorse Peter Kenneth?
Is that suggesting that if Dennis Wawero goes for an elective post, he was going to, or in these primaries, he'll defeat Peter Kenneth? Is that a suggestion?
It's not the suggestion, but what we are saying is, first, understand the issue of primaries versus consensus. The Sonko team is saying, let's the voters decide who the flag bearer will be. But the Peter Kenneth group
they're both credible processes. They're both credible processes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I believe Jubilee has always stood up and said that you're going to provide free and fair nomination for all. Everybody is in the field. So we are having a crowded field. Why will we have some people retreat into a boardroom and just decide to settle somebody and impose?
And the other thing,
that's not democracy.
Democracy.
Democracy is why you go to the people and the people decide to give you the mandate.
Roslyn, I want you to make this point, but in the entire of British politics and the US politics, these primaries of getting a candidate, it's a consensus. It's a consensus. So democracy does not mean that we all have to go and line up and vote. A consensus is part of democracy.
It's not, you just said it well, it is in the US. Here in Africa,
we can make it in Kenya.
Well.
We are not saying that consensus is just one of the ways in which you can get a candidate. But my second point was the two groups that have split. There's the group around Peter Kenneth, largely from Murang'a County, is the one that thinks that they don't have to really hold 2017 and think about 2022. They want to get 2017, and they are saying 2022 is too far. We are not going to be tied with anything. But the group that is led by Dennis Wawero and Mike Sonko and Sakaja and Margaret Wajiro is the one that is usually saying that in 2022 we must support Deputy President William Ruto.
Gentlemen and lady, there's something you must understand, that people who run this town come from Murang'a County. People who run big businesses in this town come from Murang'a County. They are taking nothing less than Peter Kenneth. And this has everything to do with 2022 elections. And remember, the ruling coalition, every time any political party that takes power from Central Province for the presidency, the lifespan for that political party is mostly 5 years. And I can tell you for free, after 2017, this Jubilee party will not get it 2022. We'll have a new political party, and the flag bearer will be Peter Kenneth.
Say that with finality.
I think Peter Kenneth's bid must not be seen as just a 2017 affair, because if his bid, the way it is attracting resentment, especially for those people who think that the Mount Kenya people can sit back and support Deputy President William Ruto, I think it is quite dangerous for anybody to think that, to jeopardize Jubilee's chances in 2017 by insinuating that Central Kenya can have one of their own for 2022 ballot.
No, but it happened in 2013 when it was the least expected. So why not 2022? You see, you have
Kithure Kindiki is holding brief for William Ruto
blood.
in this chorus. I mean,
you have tested blood. So.
And that is why I'm saying, when you see Professor Kindiki coming out so strongly, is because the new bid is already jeopardizing the region's support for William Ruto in 2020. I think the Central Kenya people would rather lose the governorship than lose the presidency in 2017.
Okay.
Why don't you think that Peter Kenneth is Johnny come too late? Because he's coming in when these people have been on the field for this long.
Maybe that can explain why the Sonko and Waweru and Wanjiru are furious about somebody. We spend 2 years on the ground, then somebody is brought by some business people to be given the seat on the seat on a silver platter.
Okay, hang on to this thought. Because
but we are yet to see the last of that.
Just about it, it's true, because we will see lots of it and we'll discuss more of it here in Resources. But just about to take a short break. But before we do, coming up, we're going to discuss the serious and possibly the small and big matter of Onyango Law. And I want to ask you if you believe Jubilee has any secret files on Onyango Law. Tweet us at Deacon Sarigo, at James Smart, hashtag News Sources. Let us know. Do you think there's a secret file somewhere? News Sources coming up, discussing that.